Hello, Seattle, and welcome to episode 1 of Dominate the Zone. I'm your host, Dominic Skeen, and I'm here with my good friend, Jack Adicott.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Today, we're going to be discussing the weekend. We're going to be discussing the roster moves we're about to make and our plans going forward and what we think about the roster so far. Beginning with this Blue Jays series and the playoff implications of everything going on recently. So, we've got this 4-game series coming up. We're 1 game under 500. You know, a lot of people were saying to stick a fork in our squad just a couple weeks ago, and now, you know, when we were 10 games under 500, and now we're squarely back in position for the playoffs. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great turnaround for him recently. I think that, I definitely think that when that brawl happened with the Angels a couple weeks back, I think that sort of lit a fire in us, and especially going into that Oakland series. I mean, we took 2 out of 3 against the Angels, but I think really that brawl going into that Oakland series was particularly motivating to the guys because, they had to deal with all of that, and, like, the suspensions and the fines that are going with that, but they still found a way to win, like, with all that coming up. And Jesse Winker still is serving his suspension. JP already served his. But I think that even just these last couple of weeks have just been, like, really, really solid for them as they've been really trying to turn things around, which they have. I think that also that series in San Diego, I know that the Padres have been struggling recently, but that's a good team over there, and they really proved that they could swing the bats, and just like you could just see what this lineup is capable. And this is going without Mitch Haniger and Kyle Lewis and even Ty France these last couple of weeks, but they're getting Ty France back this weekend, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's looking good for us. You know, it's crazy what something like a fight can do, especially since the Mariners haven't been in one in 15 years. Quick comment the comment question of the day is going to be, what's the last fight you guys remember us having? Because for me, the latest I can think was Milton Bradley had a little scuffle. I don't think he had a benches clearing brawl, though, with us.
No.
Then Carl Everett and Richie Sexson both had their moments.
Yes. I remember those very, very fondly.
Anyway, it's been at least 15 years. So if anybody else, everybody comment their favorite Mariners fight and what you think the most recent one was, because we're trying to figure exactly that out. Anyway, this series is going to be awesome. You know, if we sweep, then we'll be in that second wild card because of all the ground we're going to gain on these Blue Jays. And anyway, yeah, we'll see what we can see. They just named Casey Lawrence the starter, who I guess was for us in 2018. What do you remember about him, Jack?
He had a high ERA out of the bullpen. What I remember about him is that he always had, like, it seemed like he had good stuff. I remember he had a really good slider, but it didn't really pan out in the bullpen. I think we eventually DFA'd him, like, early in the season, but from what I remember, I think that he was not really, like, the greatest out of the pen. It seemed like he had good stuff, and he just didn't really pan out. But he's been in the minor leagues for a long time since then, and, we'll see what he has tonight.
Yeah, the obvious comp that comes to mind is Nestor Cortez. You know, couldn't kick it in our bullpen, and then managed to latch on as a starter now with the Yankees. You know, we'll see what happens. We've been seeing pitches well. We've been absolutely dominating the zone, and we think that's by far the best Mariners podcast name we could have came up with. Anyway, when we controlled the zone last year, we went on win streaks. You know, we're doing it again this year. That 9th inning against Lou Trevino on Saturday was just sweet, and
yes.
I hope that tonight we can come out there and control the zone again against a guy like Casey Lawrence, who might not be able to locate that slider. He might give away a couple fastballs, and you never know what's going to happen. But as long as we take a good approach, these guys aren't an awesome lineup this year. We have every chance of beating them.
Yeah, I mean, they got a really solid lineup all around. But Vladdy hasn't been playing the last couple of games. I mean, we'll see how he comes out tonight. But I also want to bring up that when the Blue Jays come to Seattle, it doesn't really feel like a home game for Seattle. And And this is the first time really in 3 years that all these Western Canadians have been able to come down to the States, into Seattle, invade the stadium. So, but even then, in 2019, the Blue Jays were absolutely horrible that year. So, I mean, this is a much different team now than 2019. Bo Bichette was still really young. Vladdy Jr. was still pretty young. But those guys have blossomed into really solid players now. So I think that while it's going to be a home game for us, it's not going to feel like a home game.
Yeah, we know. If you've been to these Blue Jays series, you know what we're talking about. Jack and I are very adamant that we need everybody in the seats that we can get, even though it sucks going to these games and hearing these, Canadians try to chant, in our stadium and stuff like that. We need every Seattleite we can get at the ballpark this weekend. And anyway, moving on to the next topic, Ty's back tonight. Jerry was interviewed on 710 today. He said on the Seattle sports station that Ty should be coming back tonight, according to plan. He said we'll see him this weekend. And when asked about should we see him tonight, he said yes. And he said something like, I think so. Anyway, when Ty comes back, the question is, obviously he's a huge jolt for this lineup. It's the best hitter that we could get anywhere in baseball. But then, who are we going to send down is the question. Carlos Santana's been great. We don't know where he's going to fit in the lineup, but hard to imagine we'd bail on him just as he starts to find it at the plate, especially now that he doesn't have to play the field anymore. You've got a couple gel guys like Marcus Wilson. You're not sending down Haggerty with the average of 303, and you're not sending down Dylan Moore lately because he's been great with his bat as well. Those are two bats we need in the lineup these days. So, and you don't want to end the Marcus Wilson experiment, considering how good of a, boon, how much of a boon he's been in the clubhouse. But it's really interesting because we don't have any pitchers that seem expendable other than Tommy Malone.
Right. I think that, you were talking about Marcus Wilson. I think that he's been really a solid guy to have around on the team, especially like since he's a rookie and like he's been in the minor leagues for a long time, and now he's finally going to get his chance this year. And I think the worst thing you could do to a guy is have him spend 8 years in the minor leagues, bring him up, and then just send him right back down. I think he needs to get a little bit more of that experience, but he's been a great guy to have in the clubhouse. He's a great guy to come off the bench and running situations. I would say they hold on to Marcus Wilson until at least Kyle Lewis or Mitch Haniger comes back.
I absolutely agree with that.
And as far as who to send down, yeah, I would agree. Tommy Malone is probably the most likely out of them, just because he only really pitches when we're up by a whole ton of runs, and it's another lefty in the bullpen, but really Barucki's been that guy for us, and especially since with the way Carlos Santana's been playing. What I think they're going to do is probably they're going to have Santana DH majority of the time. So that means that Toro's going to get a little bit less playing time. But, we'll see how it goes. It's just solid to have a guy like Ty France back in the lineup who can give your lineup a good offensive production, plus a great, great glove at first base.
Absolutely. So it's going to be awesome. We're going to keep our eyes glued to that Mariners PR account, waiting for that roster move. And yeah, I'll actually see everybody tonight at the ballpark. I'm going, and I am lucky enough going with a season ticket holder to watch BP. I've never done this before, so excited for that. And Jack and I are going tomorrow. We'll be sitting in center field in the J-Rod squad, and
which I am actually very, very happy about, because I don't want to be sitting around a bunch of those guys.
Yeah. Yeah,
I had a really traumatizing experience when I was a kid, and I don't think I've even gone to a Blue Jays series game since that. So it'll be really interesting to see how it plays out. But the fact that we're in the J-Rod section is going to really help immensely with that sort of like bitterness I have toward all those guys.
Yeah. it's really something. Jack, it's a danger for Blue Jays fans if you see Jack and you're being all cocky this weekend. So, yeah, you guys better watch out. Come in here, give us a couple wins, and we'll see you guys next series. We plan on doing one of these podcasts, hopefully for every series, and we'll see where it goes from there.